Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Champs Drink Champs. I'm your host, Shelby, and I'm here all alone again because life is freaking crazy for us right now. So, I will be recording a solo episode this week, and also next week, Taylor will be recording a solo episode. And so, the next 2 weeks, you're going to have solo episodes again, and then we'll probably have a couple together, and then we're basically on season 2 break, and we'll see what happens coming into season 3 because life's freaking crazy right now. So like I said, welcome back to the podcast. I'm going to try really freaking hard to not get off topic, to make sense out of all of the chaos that's in my mind right now. Today we're talking about your head bitch in charge energy. So your HBIC energy, that is our topic today. What that means basically is your boss bitch energy, your leader energy, your confident energy, your anything powerful energy, your woman in charge energy, whatever it is that you want to call it, whatever makes sense for you. That's what we're talking about. So yeah, this is what's so crazy is like I have so many things. This probably needs to be multiple episodes. I probably should have done like a series and like really made like a organized series list of what we would talk about, but we'll get there, and maybe that will be something we do in season 3. So this episode, sorry again for those that aren't watching, if I go silent for a second, it's because I'm taking a sip of my wine. Okay, you gotta like wet your whistle, make sure your voice is good, and I do that with rosé. So this episode, you guys requested it. You did a poll, I did a poll, you responded to the polls, and you said you wanted an episode about career, business, professionalism, whatever. So we're gonna kind of do something really broad with this for our first episode about it, I guess. We'll see if we need to have another one or if you guys want another one. And I think what's important to note too is someone submitted on our anonymous like question link. They were like, I want to listen to the episode before I think I have questions or before I submit questions. So I think that that's an important thing to say too, is like, once we do this, we can do like a feedback session where you guys can then be like, oh, you talked about this, let's break this down more. And then depending how many we get in those areas, I can see if I talk about it again. It's super, it's funny because I feel like I have a lot of HBIC energy, but I also really hate talking about this topic. Not hate in like a bad way, I actually fucking love talking about this stuff. Like that's what I'm saying. I have so many thoughts in my mind. I have so many things to talk about to you guys. How do I get it organized? How do I like really do this? Leading and being the HBIC is actually my superpower for sure. I do it in my personal life, I do it in my professional life, I do it in my friendships. Like it is just who I am. But I do hate talking about it in general because I think that it's like those things on the internet where they're like, she's too much. And it's like, then they say like, I'm not too much. And it's like all these powerful things. That's really the root of it, is like people think that this type of energy or this that I bring to the table is a lot, and it's intimidating, and it makes them judge me, or it makes them intimidated of me. And so they start judging me when really it's like, they just wish they had the energy, the HBIC that I have. So hopefully someone takes something out of this, maybe more than someone, and you guys share it with a friend and you start channeling your HBIC and you like really, I don't know. I hope this is powerful for you, and I hope it just resonates and you share it with somebody and we can talk about it more, and you guys can push me out of my comfort zone to talk about it more. So, all right, enough bullshit because all of that's so annoying to talk about. Okay, this episode and this HBIC energy, like this is not just for your career, it's not just for business, it's not for professional gals, this is for anybody. This is for a mom, this is for a wife, this is for the single people, this is for a single mom, this is for men, this is for literally any type of person. don't put yourself in a box and don't put us in a box. Like Taylor all the time is like, well, I don't have to worry about these things because like I just work in medical and I wear scrubs all day. It's the same thing. Like, stop making it this super rigid box that we're all in. Like, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a wife, if you're just a person, you can have this type of energy. And that's what I think is the most important thing, is like, I'm going to be speaking about this energy in general and the things that I can share about it. It can be applied in my personal life. It can be applied in my marriage. It can be applied at work. It can be applied in therapy. Like, it can be applied anywhere. It's just who you are and the guiding principles that you use to get through life. I'm also going to try and stop talking with my hands because holy shit. Okay. This is what I do at work also. When I'm leading a meeting, I'm talking with my hands. So I'll hold a wine glass and I'll hold a microphone and hopefully that helps me stop. Okay. So now that we've clarified that, stop putting people in those tight boxes. This is for anyone, any type of person. So I guess where I'll start is, it's actually funny because I had a friend post today on Facebook, which like I never actually get on Facebook. So it's weird that I saw it. And she posted something asking a question to people like, hey, would you mind sharing your story about who you are, how you got to where you are, like how you achieve your goals, what's your story? Because like she's in a position where she's trying to, she knows that she has more purpose and she's such a hustler and she's feeling unfulfilled, and she wanted to like hear other people's stories and like I think just probably start this conversation. And it was like the first thing I saw. Again, don't get on Facebook, randomly saw it and I was like, I'll share my story, why not? Again, I really don't mind talking about these things until you ask me. And then as I went to type, I was like, I sound like a douche canoe. So it's an insecurity I have talking about these types of things. But I guess that's where I kind of want to start, is telling you a little bit about my background, my story professionally, or I don't know, just in general, like how I got to where I'm at. So like I posted in her thing, maybe I should just read it. No, I'm not gonna read it. That's too much. I don't want to go there. Okay. Probably around 13, 14, I knew I wanted to work in a business or a professional setting. I always was like, I want to be like an administrative assistant. Like, I want to be like wearing professional clothes, working in an office, their clothes. Like, I love their clothes. I love that vibe. Like, that's kind of where my heart, my head, all of those were like going around 13, 14 years old. I didn't know what kind of positions that was. I didn't know how to get a job like that, but I was like, I don't know, you probably start working at the front desk as like an admin or something. Like, that makes sense. And that seems like a dope ass job. I'm also extremely organized, OCD, and have an insane memory. So I was like, yeah, I'll totally crush that. And you probably don't need a lot of skills because I already had them. Again, confidence that I don't know where it came from. So around that time, I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll probably like do something professional, go through high school, go through life, not really taking life too seriously. I got some college credits in high school. That was about it. Didn't really know what I was going to do after high school. So probably the life experiences I had going into like my more closer to adulthood, 17, 18 years. I grew up in a small town, weird stuff goes on there. You start becoming like more grown up. And I think because of that, I decided I want to work in the legal field. And I was like, I want to help people have truth. I want them to find justice. I want them to have someone that can support them and be honest with them and really walk them through these challenging things in life. And give them the real shit rather than like the nonsense that happens in the legal system. So I was like, I'll be a paralegal. That still works in an office. That'll be great. I'll still get to wear professional clothes. So I decided to go into criminal justice and I get my associate's degree in criminal justice. I'm like working at Chili's. I've like done a bunch of random jobs because I still have to pay bills while I'm going to school. So I get my associate's in criminal justice, and that doesn't really like align for me because I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And criminal justice really helped me see that like there's some wild ass shit in the world, and if I am going to be a mom, I cannot handle dealing with that during the day and then coming home and like holding my sweet babies. So I was like, criminal justice is not for me, but a paralegal is an option. So I moved up to Salt Lake and I went to paralegal school. And I quickly started working as a paralegal before I had my associate's degree in paralegal studies. Random happenstance that I got a job doing it. And I quickly like loved working in that industry. I loved working in an office. I loved like fixing things, making things better, figuring out how we could like be the best law firm ever. My boss totally sucked dick though. So I'm going to school, I'm working at this job, start to realize like this job is not going to work out. Like this guy does not make shit happen the way that I want to make shit happen. He's super basic. I'm not basic. I want improvement. I want structure. I want to go places. And this guy's just lazy. So I get a new job working as a paralegal at another law firm. And it ended up being the law firm that I worked at for almost 10 years. I started out as the family law paralegal. And to start with the head bitch in charge energy, I had an interview with them. I needed to get out of my job. Like my job was not going well. It was toxic. He sucked. It was like making me unhappy. I was unfulfilled. I was coming home super angry, super grouchy, and it was affecting like who I was as a person. And that's when I was like, all right, I gotta find a new job. So this job comes available. I found it through a friend I was going to school with in paralegal school. She was already working there as like their front desk. And I interviewed and they were like, oh yeah, we would love to have you. This is kind of like what would happen. And I was like really excited. And they're like, yeah, we want to offer you the job, but they didn't want to pay me what I needed them to pay me. And they offered me the same that I was making, but I asked for more. They didn't know that that's what I was making. And so they offered me an amount that was the same. And I was like, I'm not going to shuffle to a new job when you think that like this is what I'm worth. And I know that I could rock this position. Like I knew already, like I could do this job with my hands behind my back. Like if you're not going to pay me, then I'll wait till the next opportunity. And I turned down the job. And I was still at my other job. I met a really great friend working there. I helped her learn some new skills. Like I was still doing fine, but I still knew I needed a new job. A couple months later, they end up having to hire for the job again because they hired someone that was a fucking dumbass. And I was like, oh, why not? I'll apply again. Like, hey, if you're paying more, I'd love to interview. And they were like, yes, absolutely. So I go in for another interview. Again, they want to hire me. I asked for way fucking more this time. I was like, oh, I actually make this much now. So if you want to bring me on, I'm at this rate. I was not making that much money. First tip, always ask for more than you're making at your current job. Tell them that's what you're making. They're never going to call and say, hey, can you tell us what this person's being paid? Doesn't work that way. Ask for more than you're making. Never switch jobs unless you physically literally have to get out of a situation or you got let go. That is the only time you should accept the same amount of pay. So I switched jobs. I start working there. I build up a family law practice. I quickly built every ounce of that department. Trained every single person that came through, started training people so well. We were doing so well in our department that they would just take them and have them work in other areas. And I quickly started doing more of like the admin side, like the operational admin stuff for the company because they just didn't have anyone filling those shoes. There was people, but they like weren't doing it. So I'd always just pick up the extra work. And eventually I started to like get super burnt out and I was like, I can't keep doing both of these jobs. And because they were both basically full-time jobs and I was not being paid to do all this extra work for the company, amplifying it. So I said, you guys have to choose, like, do you want me to be on this side or on this side? And they chose to move me to the actual like business operational side. And they were like, are you gonna be okay giving up legal? And I was like, absolutely, yes. I already could tell that this is what I was liking more. And so I think that that was a huge defining moment for me is like, as I started picking up more projects or doing more, taking whatever opportunities I could, it gave me the opportunity to decide, like, do I like this type of law? Do I like this task? Do I like that task? Do I like these projects? Do I like this side of the business? Do I not like this side of business? And so if you're in a situation, always take opportunities and projects and do the extra work, especially when you're trying to figure out what you want. And so eventually I also got burnt out on that job and now I'm at my new job. A lot of things went into that, but that's kind of like the really quick and dirty version of how I've established my career, how I've established what I wanted to do. The one thing I would add is like, I never actually knew what it was exactly I was chasing professionally. I knew I had finally figured out like, I like this type of work. I want to work in like the business meat and potatoes. And I went to the Rachel Hollis Rice conference in, I think it was like 2019 with Taylor and one of our other friends. And in that, we did exercises that helped me establish like, I want to be a COO one day. Like Rachel had us dream so big and so hard that I was able to figure out like, this is exactly what I want. I want to be the person that at the very top doing the operations for the company. And so I would write down like, I am a COO of an amazing company or something like that on my journal. And I think that really helped me start knowing like, this is the middle, this is the bullseye, this is where I'm trying to go. And I slowly adapted that. I've slowly been like, okay, I don't have to be the COO. I could be the head of operations. I could be the VP of operations. I want to be in a situation where I am like at the top doing operations, basically. And that's what really like helped me define like, this is where I'm headed, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to be chasing. And maybe that will change, maybe something will come up that I'll like pivot, but for now, like this is exactly where I'm headed and what I'm going to keep focusing on. And that's going to be what I'm working towards. That's my goal, that's my purpose, that's my achievement. Like those are my targets and that's what I'm shooting for. And I think that that's important that you, whatever you're doing in life, you figure out what that is. If you're a stay-at-home mom, figure out what that looks like for you. What kind of life do you want that to be? How do you want to wake up every day? What do you want your days to be consumed with? Do you want to use your stay-at-home mom work to just be at home making your family's life amazing? That's great. Do you want to do it and your kids go to school and you do something in the meantime? Do you do like go help out at homeless shelters? Do you do volunteer work? Like figure out what all of that looks like for you. And I think that that's probably one of the first things that you need to do when you start establishing like what your HBIC energy is. I have literally so many notes, so I'll get to your guys' questions, but before I get there, I'm going to start with like some of the things that I have written down or identified that I want to talk about for how to find your HBIC energy or what to do when you're trying to find that. My first one that I wrote down, which kind of goes into what I was just saying, is find your thing. Like, what's your niche? What's your passion? What's your industry? Who are you in your highest dreams? Like in 5 years, in 2 years, in 10 years, you're dreaming as big as possible. Money's not a thing. Nothing is in your way. You have zero barriers. What does that look like? What's the industry? What's your day look like? What are you wearing? How do you act? What do you drive? What are you thinking? Are you vacationing? Like, that's kind of like what helped me identify things like this is like, I was like, I drive this type of car. This is how my day is. I was like envisioning myself driving to the office. And like, again, there it is, an office. I knew I was going to be driving to an office. I'd have Starbucks, I'd have my coffee, I'd have my music, I'd have a bomb ass outfit on, I'd have great heels, my hair would look good. I'm walking in, I've got this amazing office. Like, do that dream. Take some space, figure out what that looks like. It doesn't have to be professional, it doesn't have to be business. Like, again, do it for whatever works for you. Like, if you are someone that doesn't want to have a job, you still have purpose. So like, identify it for whatever realm you're going to be in. And I don't want to have to keep clarifying that through the whole episode. So this is the last time I'm going to say that. Whatever it is in your life, in your purpose, whatever realm you're in, this works for all of it. This is your energy. This is who you are. And you can use this energy for any type of thing, any box you put yourself in. So do that. Find your thing, find your niche, find your passion, find your industry, figure out what that looks like. And that's your first starting point. And yeah, it's going to take you some time. Try different jobs in between, like start something, start different projects and see what you like and don't like. And that actually, back up, takes me to the next point. Immerse yourself in something. books, podcasts, go to conferences, take extra projects at work, go sit in on meetings wherever you can. Like, there's been so many meetings that I've sat in on that I don't need to sit in on, but I know it's going to bring me value. Like, I might not even say a single word, but if I have the invitation or I can ask to be in on the meeting, you should be 1000% taking opportunities like that, so you can learn, so you can understand, so you can show up and figure things out. And maybe in those meetings, you'll be like, I absolutely don't want that type of job, whatever it is. So immerse yourself in anything. Try different jobs. If you start a job and you're like, this isn't working for me, that's a huge thing. That's important. Make sure you take note of that. I don't like this job. I don't like this industry. I don't like these types of people. I don't like bosses like this. I don't like companies like this. I don't like school pickup being like this. Whatever it is for you, figure that out. The next thing I have is find your personal brand. And that kind of ties into both of those as well. Figure out what your attributes are, figure out what your strengths are, figure out what your weaknesses are, your likes, your dislikes. There's so many things that, like, I've done them, I've done the job, I learned it, I built it, I created processes around it. And I was also like, I'm doing this because the business needs it, but I fucking hate it. And the second I can get to a situation where I can pass this on to somebody else, I will do that. And that's part of what's gotten me to where I'm at today too, is like, I've done the job. I know how to do the job. I created things to fix that job and make it even better. And I also don't want to do that job. If I have to, I will, but it's not something I like to do. So figure out what those things are. And like, just because you don't like to do them does not at all mean that you won't ever do them. If you were a stay-at-home mom and it's like, I really hate cleaning the bathroom, great. Get a cleaning lady, have your kids do your chores. But guess what? At some point, you're still gonna have to clean the bathroom. So figure out what your personal brand is and really like claim it. Be your brand. Figure out what that brand is. What does your office look like? How do you show up to work? How do you present yourself in meetings? How do you have conversations? How are you on social media? How are you to your coworkers? How are you leading your teams? Whatever it is that you're doing. For me, my personal brand is like, I'm definitely your boss, but I'm also here to support you however you need me to support you. I don't know what you want out of life. I'm here to help you figure that out. I want to make sure that you're getting as much out of your job as we're getting out of you. Like, you're an asset to our company, but you also have your own personal desires, and I support that. And our company's not for you, I support you finding what's for you. And I want to help you find that. I hope at some point you find it within our company. And if not, 1000%. I'll write you a reference letter. I'll help you find a new job. I'll help you find your exit strategy. Like, I am your team player and I'm here to help you no matter what. Like, that is my personal brand. I'm your boss. I'll for sure get on your ass if I have to. But I also, if you're having a bad day, I want to talk to you. I want to be your friend. I want to be your champion. So find out what that is for you. If it's in like a different profession and you don't have the opportunity to lead people, figure out what that looks like for you. Are you the person that's always the happiest to greet patients? Are you the person that's always the happiest in the Starbucks line? Like, whatever your job is, figure out what your brand is. Hold on, I need a drink break. I'm getting raspy. All right, next one. Ooh, this one's hard. Identify your elevator pitch. And I fucking suck at this. I will tell you this right now. I have multiple elevator pitches. I don't know why. Probably because I get anxiety around talking about myself. I get anxiety. This whole episode should be giving me anxiety, but I have to do it because I'm leaving to Brazil and the episode comes out tomorrow. So I'm just making myself do it. But I have multiple elevator pitches and I get really uncomfortable talking about myself professionally. I get uncomfortable claiming my HBIC in front of people that I feel uncomfortable around. So what I mean by establishing your elevator pitch is figure out what message you're going to share that's like 30 seconds to a minute. You meet somebody, you're networking. Who you are, what do you do, what's your background, and why are you here today? Always use your first and last name. If you're meeting somebody, be like, hi, I'm Shelby Patterson. I work at Plan Radar. I'm the operations manager for the Americas. Then the rest of your thing. Give them your full name. What's your title? What's your company? What you do? How you got there? Why you're at this thing? Whatever it is. The scenario definitely depends on like what your elevator pitch is going to be. But it's super crucial that you have one of those, and it's super crucial that you don't do what I do, where you fucking make one up every single time you get asked about yourself because you have anxiety around talking about yourself. I have a lot of them. They all go fine, but I still feel uncomfortable about them, and they could be better. So I need to work on that too. The next thing I have is also, sorry for people that aren't watching me. My hair is so staticky because I had a hair appointment yesterday, and I don't know if anyone else goes through this, but when I get my hair done and I don't wash it the next day, because like who would do that? It's so staticky. So if I'm moving it a lot, I'm very sorry. It's really tickling my neck and I feel very uncomfortable. Okay. Backing up. Okay. The next thing I have for you is patient. You have got to be patient as you are identifying your HBIC, as you're making your path, as you're doing whatever it is that you're trying to do with your HBIC energy. Rome wasn't built in a day. I don't actually know that, but that's the saying. Obviously it wasn't though. You have to be patient, and you have to remember that you have to start somewhere. Doing nothing or just being like, I don't know, is not going to get you anywhere. You have to start somewhere. You'll likely start at the bottom. You'll likely be doing things that you don't want to do, but that's the first thing you need to be doing to identify what the fuck it is that you want to be doing and what your energy is going to be around it. So you have to be patient. You have to not be like a privileged asshole and accept like, I just have to start. Just start and pivot anytime that you need to pivot. That also is another word that I was going to say is pivot. Make sure that you're ready to pivot, that you are willing to accept that you need to pivot. If you're unhappy, pivot. You don't like it and you know it's not for you, pivot. The next thing you have to have is drive. And some people would call this grit. I don't actually like that word. I don't know. It just is like a trendy buzzword, but you have to have drive. You have to be willing to push through. You have to be willing to pivot, keep going, don't stop, figure out whatever it is. And that's the type of shit that brings you that HBIC energy. You also have to have courage to do literally everything. Courage to stand up for yourself, courage to show up, courage to make a pivot, courage to talk to somebody, to ask for a project, to ask to sit in on a meeting, to ask for the promotion, to ask for the raise. Courage and confidence, I feel like kind of are the same thing to me sometimes. So I would basically put them all in that together. It's insane to me how many times I will do an annual review for my staff and they don't ask for a raise. Why are you not asking for a raise? Like, even if I said no, which I would never say right on the spot unless I literally already knew that you weren't going to get a raise and like we had budget requirements or whatever that we were trying to like deal with, you should still freaking ask. It takes courage. It takes tenacity. It takes confidence. It takes like value in your fucking self-worth. Always ask for the raise. Always. I don't care if the answer is no. You have to do it. I every single time would leave the meeting and we'd have like our little like discussions around it. I'd be like, I can't believe they didn't ask for a raise. Like, why would you not ask for that? Take what's yours, girl. Okay. Next thing, hustle and heart. Again, kind of like the same thing, but you have to have hustle. You have to be willing to give 110% if you're trying to pursue something, if you're trying to find your HBIC, if you're trying to just like do something. It takes hustle. You have to be hustling and you have to be doing it for a very long time, to be honest. It's like, you can't stop. Don't stop. And you also have to be passionate no matter what, even if you know that it's not the job for you, even if you know it's not like long term what you want. It's a stepping stone. It's like, this is just happening, whatever. You have to be passionate about it. You have to be in it. You have to show heart, and like, you'll learn something. You'll gain knowledge. You'll get network connections. Like, so many things will come from it if you apply your heart. My next thing is be genuinely you. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be somebody that you think they want you to be. Don't be like, oh, well, they really like this person, so I need to try and be more like them and talk like them and act like them and do what they do. Absolutely the fuck not. If I did that, I would be nowhere, because the people that are getting the attention you think you need to be like, I can assure you, at the very top, at management level, the very C-suite level, they're judging these people so hard of like, brown noser, they actually like don't actually do what I need them to do. I can assure you, don't be like those people. So figure out who you are genuinely and show up as yourself. It comes back to that personal brand. Like, what is your brand? Who are you? And like, literally be that person. The next one I have is speak up. You have to be vocal. You have to, all of these just really tie into each other. And I think that speaking up is a huge thing that I'm always like, why the fuck do you say the things that you say, Shelby Patterson? Like, why are you doing that? And honestly, it makes me who I am. It's the reason I get into the rooms that I get in. It's the reason I have the positions I have. And it's because I'm willing to say the things that people don't want to say. And I'm willing to confidently back it up and not be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I just said that. I'm like, listen, this is the problem. On top of that though, with speaking up, I'd also say, listen more, take note. One of my biggest strengths is observing people and being able to read them so freaking quick. I can read people, their energies. That's probably some like clairvoyant type thing that I have. I don't even fucking know, but I could meet somebody within 30 seconds. And I am very confident when I say, I know who you are, I understand how you operate, and I know how to play that game. I know how to read you. And I have that because I'm observant. I have that because I don't immediately talk about myself. I'm willing to sit in a meeting and observe everyone around me without feeling like I have to speak up. If I need to speak up, I 1000% will. But I also am super willing to just sit there, observe, and take a lot of note in my head of like, this is all that's going on, and now I know what I need to do. So speak up, especially when you need to. Follow your gut, especially when your gut is like, I have to say something, I can't be quiet around this. And then on top of it, be quiet, listen more. The last one I'm going to share for now, because like I said, I don't want to talk your ear off and I have other shit I need to say. So get a LinkedIn. You have to network. You have to have a professional network. You have to have something. Facebook cannot be your life. Instagram cannot be your life. And no matter what realm you're in, you should have a LinkedIn, and you should be acquiring information that's not just social media. So get a LinkedIn, have a professional headshot, or take a selfie that looks pretty like legit. Don't wear a t-shirt, like look legit, and make your brand and make a professional network and start looking at that type of feed rather than what Claire down the street is and Brenda is doing, whatever. Like, social media is the worst thing that you could be consuming all day. Have a professional network, whatever that looks like in the realm that you want to be in. Find that space. LinkedIn is a huge one. Every fucking company's on it. Every type of person is on it. Follow them. If you like that person, consume that information, and that's going to just like, I don't know, it just amplifies you. And it's also really great for networking and job searching. Okay, I'm gonna get to your questions. I have so much still to talk about. Very stressed about how much time has passed. I need a sip break also. Okay. Questions that you guys submitted and my feedback, guidance, whatever around them. This one's a good one. How do they do it? That's a huge thing. I know every single person has asked themselves in their head, like, how are they doing that? Why is that not, like, how can I be that person? Like, how are they doing this? People say that a lot in general. Like, it's just a thing that we ask ourselves when we see something that we're like, damn, I want that. That's their HBIC rubbing off on you. And you're like, damn, I want that energy. That's you having that little tickle of like, I gotta go chase that. So use that to amplify you, to get you where you want to go, to establish your HBIC, to establish what you want professionally, like whatever it freaking is. And you, like, at the end of the day, like, you define whatever it is. So when the question is, how do they do it? What is it? You tell me. Like, that is your job. What is it that they have that you're like, damn, I want that? And then just go fucking Google it, dude. Like, whatever. You are in charge of what it is. That's something that your gut and your intuition is like, I want this. So you need to go figure out what that is. And again, if you don't know, Google it, ask me, send me a DM. Don't call me, but you can send me a DM. If you have my number, text me. Like, we can talk about it. I could talk about this literally all day. Oh, next one. How to lead meetings. That's a big question. That's a loaded one for sure. Leading meetings is scary. It's very uncomfortable. Even if you're just speaking in the meeting, it's uncomfortable unless you really like attention. And like, I'm a Leo and I should like it, but I don't. I still to this day get extremely uncomfortable with the thought of like, damn, I have to lead a meeting. I can pull a meeting off really easily. I can pull content together really easily. I could plan literally that morning. I consume enough information constantly that I know exactly what I could talk about if I had to bullshit my way through it. And you should be the same. Make sure you're reading books. Make sure you're listening to podcasts. Make sure you're constantly surrounding yourself in whatever realm you're in with information that you can bust out and lead at any point, or you can ask the smart questions. Part of leading a meeting, before you even get the invitation to lead the meeting, you're already having conversations that got you to that point. So what were you doing to get you there? Use that confidence. What I would say though is if you're nervous, make sure you prep in advance. Figure out what you're going to wear. That's a huge thing. What are you going to wear that's going to make you feel comfortable? What's the room look like? Envision yourself in that room and envision how your meeting goes and practice if you have to. There was times when I would have a really big training or a meeting that I would be like literally on my way to work saying shit out loud in my car just to hear myself saying it, just so that my brain wouldn't forget. Print off your notes, have notes in front of you. Like, what, it depends on the type of meeting for sure. Other meetings that can be a bit intimidating is when you have to have like one-on-one meetings with your boss, or one-on-one meetings with someone that's on your team, one-on-one meetings with someone that makes you intimidated. All of those can make you uncomfortable. And I would say if it's like a one-on-one meeting and you feel uncomfortable, again, write it out, have notes, make sure you take notes, be like, just so you know, like I've written down like topics that I need to make sure I hit. I wrote them down so like I don't forget. So just FYI, like totally chill to say that, do it. But if you don't write it down and if you don't take the notes, you will not remember it all, especially if you're uncomfortable leading a meeting. And I think with leading a meeting too, like channel your HBIC. Like there's been multiple times where I've had a big meeting. I have a freaking pump up playlist. That's another huge thing you should make. I have one that's literally called like I'm a boss ass bitch. And I have all my pump up songs on there. Any song that like reminds me who I am, any song that's aggressive. I have an Iggy Azalea song on there that just like really amps me up. I listen to that shit when I'm like, I need to just remember who the fuck I am. And that is the kind of stuff you need to consume going into that meeting to help you have confidence and remind yourself of like, I've got this, like, it's no big deal. Like I'm on top of the world. Channel your confidence, channel your HBIC, do whatever you can to have notes so you don't forget what you're going to talk about. If it's a presentation, like memorize it. Memorize as much of it as you can, because you will freeze. You will always freeze. Someone will ask you a question, you'll suddenly get off track. Practice it, have notes, and do everything you can to just like really prepare. Like, you have to be prepared for these situations, especially when you're comfortable. You'll eventually get to the point where you could just wing it, and that's great. But sometimes those aren't the best meetings. So it depends, like, do you want to be a badass? You should always be prepared. Sorry, that was super passionate. Let me take a sip on that one. It's also really weird recording by yourself. I actually notice I do this when I post all my stories on my personal ones or the Instagram. When I'm recording talking, I like look around, and I'm totally doing that right now. Like, people watching me on YouTube are probably like, what the fuck are you looking at? I don't want to stare at myself. I don't want to look into my own eyes. That's really freaking weird. Yeah. Back to leading meetings though. Make sure you scan the room. Make sure you're looking at different points. Be confident. And like, I don't know, don't say like all the time, that's for sure. But scan the room, look at different points. That's probably why I do it, because I'm not going to stare at myself. That's just really vain. Okay. Next question. How to say no. Ooh, I like this. I like telling people no. Honestly, it really depends. Like, there's this account I actually follow on social media that would be really great, because she does a lot of reels around like questions like this. I should start sharing those on the podcast for you guys. But how to say no, I think it really depends. Like, should you say no, or are you just immediately saying no because you're like, that's not my job? If you are ever like, that's not my job, you need to check yourself for sure. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, there's plenty of things that you should be doing that aren't your job, but have a boundary. So if you're immediately just like, no, or you're saying no because you don't like that person, or you're saying no because you don't like how they talk to you, like, so many dynamics go into this. But in general, I'm an Enneagram 1, and that's why I'm so over explaining all of these things, because I have to be so literal. How to say no in general. Depends on the situation. But like I said, don't be so quick to say no. Really stop and think and be like, listening. What are they actually asking? If it's not something that you can do, because it's not your job, you don't have the skill, whatever, help them figure out where it is that they need to go. When people send me shit that's like, A, this isn't my job, and also B, there's actually a process for this, point them in that direction. Be like, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. The process for this is actually XYZ. Or you can reach out to the service, like whatever. You should have a process. If there's not a process in your company, you should fix that already. That's a huge thing. But figure out what it is that they're asking. God, this is such a loaded question. Say no. This is so hard for me to generalize. To say no, be respectful, be kind, Google it. Be like, hey, how do I say no to this? Someone asked me to do this. Or how do I politely say no? Do not immediately respond. If it's in person and it's like face to face and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck? Be like, take the notes. Be like, let me review the projects I already have on my list. Let me look into this, whatever it is, because again, the scenario can be so broad. Look into it and be like, let me get back to you. Take the information down. Let me get back to you. Let me evaluate my project list. Or if you already know that it's something that's your job and you should say no, or it'll impact something else you have, you should 1000% be, where would you like me to prioritize this with the list that I already have on my projects? Here's the projects that I have that are super important that you have identified as my most important projects. Would you like me to bump these? Or is there someone else on our team that we can pass this off to? Or where would you like this to fall on my project list that already has these 10 things? Ask your supervisor that, make them make that decision. Half the time, if they realize most of the time they forget what they've given you, first of all. And then also on top of that, they might be like, oh shit, actually Sarah in accounting is going to do that. I didn't realize I'd given you all those things and those are still pending. Thank you for reminding me. Or they'll be like, oh, actually, those are the most important. I will take this on myself. So don't worry if they've given you something and they're like loading you up. Don't worry about being like, okay, where would you like me to fit this in with these projects we've already identified are my top priorities? Let them figure it out. That's why they're a fucking manager. That's why they're making more money than you, because it's their job to delegate and it's their job to figure it all out. All you have to say is, where would you like me to prioritize this? Or if it's not your job, or like I said, there's so many dynamics. You can politely say, let me look into this and get back to you. That's it. Or you can take the time and not respond to the email immediately or the IM immediately and figure out how to politely say no or point them in the direction they need to go. And that was the longest explanation for saying no. Ooh, I like this one. This one is what to do when you're being called the assistant, but you're clearly more than that. This one's hard. This one ties into your ego a little bit. This one ties into people being ignorant and disrespectful a little bit. And sometimes this one ties into the fact that you literally are the assistant. So with this one, I would say, what is your actual title? If you are considered, if your title is assistant, you're the assistant and you can't be upset that they're calling you an assistant. If you're clearly more than an assistant, then you should have that conversation with your supervisor and you should say, I'm taking on more responsibilities than are in my general job scope. I'm starting to realize that I'm taking on way more than an actual assistant would be taking on. What can we do to evaluate my position or my title? If there's a step up between like your position and something else that's not an assistant, you should be like, where am I at with my promotion tracking? Whatever, it really depends on your company structure, but raising the awareness to it is huge. If someone calls you an assistant and you're not actually an assistant, you should be like, you should say something. You should literally, one of my friends, her title was assistant operations manager. She's my friend, but also she worked, I was her supervisor. So there would be someone that would directly be like, and this is her assistant. And I had to call that person into my office and be like, hey, I overheard you calling XYZ my assistant. And although her title has assistant in it, she is not my assistant. There is a difference between my assistant, that's like an admin assistant that directly does what I need her to do, which that's literally heaven, by the way. You should always respect your admins. But I had to literally be like, hey, this is her title, but she's not my assistant. She's just got this in her title. And when you introduce her to people, you need to say, and she is the assistant operations manager. And that's it. If she didn't feel comfortable saying it herself, which I would have loved for her to say herself, that's great. You should always stand up for yourself. If you can't, have your boss or your supervisor do it for you. And again, it comes back to like, is this just an ego thing? Like if it actually is like your title and you're offended, why are you offended? Is it because you're doing more and you should have a different title? Is it because people are just ignorant? And sometimes that's just going to happen. And that's fine. Claim it and be like, yeah, I am the fucking assistant. What are they going to say to that? Nothing. But yeah, that was tricky. And it does make me sad when it happens and it shouldn't. Oh, also, before I move on, if you're finding yourself upset by that, and it is your title, like there'd be multiple times where it's like, oh yeah, this is so-and-so, and I'm really great, and I have this amazing thing, and then they'd be like, and this is my this, and she really does everything, and you're getting pissed off about that. That's your fucking fuel, that's your fire to do something, to get a promotion, to change your title, to move up in the company, to find a new company, all of those things. If that is bothering you, it's time for you to do something about it. Next one, burnout. How do you handle burnout or not wanting to wake up to go to work? Or what do you do if you don't want to go to work in the morning? Loaded question. Burnout, if that's happening, you're being taken advantage of, or you're not putting boundaries in place, or you shouldn't be working there anymore, or you're not taking care of yourself personally. There's literally so many things that go into burnout. If you feel like your burnout is happening just because work, guess what? You can change that. You can have a boundary. If they won't let you have boundaries, you should have fucking worked there. If you're burnt out because of your home life and it's starting to affect your work life, you have to establish that too. Like, every ounce of your life is going to play into two different factors of your life. There's times when I'm dealing with something personally at home and it makes me a miserable bitch at work. Guess what? That's a home problem that I need to fix so that I can correct my work problem. So you need to really identify what it is that's causing your burnout, what boundaries do you need to put in place, and where do you need to fix the shit that's making you burnt out. Maybe it's that you're not taking enough time for yourself. Maybe it's that you're having self-confidence issues and you're not having much self-worth, and that's making you think you're burnt out, but really your body's just like, you're being mean to me. There's so many things. Not wanting to go to work, that one again. If you don't want to go to work, you're not doing the work that you should be doing, or you're in a company that's not for you. And if you're not going to stand up and have the conversation to try and fix that, then that's a you thing that you need to fix. If you've identified that it's something where it's like, this is a company thing and it's making me unhappy and I don't want to go to work, start having those conversations with your boss, with the CEO, whoever you can have that conversation with at the top to try and fix it. If you want to work there, if you don't want to work there, then don't work there. Go find a new job. It's literally up to you to change that. And you can change it in so many different ways, and you can give them the opportunity to change it. And if they don't want to change it, then you should leave. But that's really what I would say is, like, if you don't want to go to work, you're not doing something that's making you happy, or the culture you're in is not making you happy, and you can work to fix that and whatever that looks like for you. If you're waking up and you don't want to be a mom, I don't know what to tell you, but you still have to be a mom. But you can figure out, like, who can help you. Does your husband need to step it up more? Do you need to create rules for your kids? Whatever, because that's kind of tied into it, like burnout and like not wanting to do anything. They all interplay. It just depends on your area, and you need to figure out what those kinks are and how to fix them. Hold on, drink break. Ooh, do you ever feel bad for firing people? Absolutely not. If I had to fire someone and it wasn't justified, well, I would have that conversation first. That's one thing I would say is, like, people are like, how can you enjoy this? It's my favorite day to fire somebody. If it's not working out for the company and you, it's better for both of us. Like, if it's not working out, you're not happy. If it's not working out, we're not happy. Like, no one is living their best life if that's happening. And anytime that someone's been like, hey, I think we're gonna let this person go, I will be the first person to be like, why? And if they're like, well, they're just not doing their job, then I will be the first person to also say, well, is this the right job for them? Do we have anywhere else in the company? Who's their manager? Is the manager actually giving them the support that they need? I will always ask that question. I will pivot. I will help them move somebody to a different department. There's been so many times where the company's been like, we're going to fire this person. I'll be like, absolutely not. They're failing because this boss, they're failing because this environment, they're failing because they lost a child, and this practice area is triggering them. Like, whatever. Do not ever just accept, we're just letting them go. If you have that ability and you're in those rooms, then you should for sure be like, actually, let's have a bigger conversation around this. Like, what is the actual issue? Is it their manager? Is it them? Is it this? Whatever. If we value them as an employee, we should be willing to put them in a different scenario where they can thrive. Give them a manager. If their manager sucks and they're actually really good at what they do, fucking push their manager. Their manager should be making more money if they suck dick. Literally. So no, firing people does not make me sad, because I will always make sure that we're firing them for the right reasons. And I firmly believe that if you are at that point, you're not living your best life, and I want everyone to live their best life, and you're going to go find something and be great, or keep getting fired, but you'll eventually start figuring out how to be great, or you'll just always get fired. Like, I can't help them personally. That's their own personal journey. But I do love firing people. I would love to just fire people all day for the right reasons. Next question. Oh, sorry, I got confused by my notes. What to do or how to handle it when you have messed up at work or you feel really embarrassed? How do you recover from that? This will happen always and forever. So the more you can just own it, and the more you can just own up to the mistake you made and fix it, the better. The more you avoid, the more that you blame somebody else, the worse it's going to be for you. If you feel embarrassed, I would really like reflect on why you feel embarrassed, because sometimes I feel embarrassed and I'm like, oh my God, this is mortifying. When really it wasn't even like anything. It's just me being insecure. Like, there's so many things I can think of, and I don't even want to share them right now on this because I'm running out of freaking time. But ask people that you're friends with in the room, like, hey, I'm like so fucking stressed about this. Was this terrible? And hopefully they give you an honest answer. If they don't, they're probably not your friend. But just own it. Like, if you messed up, tell your boss, like, hey, I missed this deadline. I am so sorry. I will fix it. I will update you as soon as it's fixed. And then go have a conversation with them and be like, I missed it. Like, figure out why you missed it. Is it because your task management's off? Is it because you have too much on your plate? Is it because somebody else? Like, figure out what that was that caused you to have that mess up, and then go talk to them and be like, here's what I've identified with why this happened. Can you help me figure out how to like not let this happen again? Or this happened because Joe over here in this department and blah, 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 whatever it is. Your manager is there to help you problem solve these things. You're not on an island. You should never have to be figuring all this out on your own. It is better if you come up with your own solution. If it's because you are just not managing your own tasks, figure that out, make a new plan and be like, I figured out this is why this happened, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it so it doesn't happen again. If you see me slipping up, please say something to me. Whatever. Own your mistake, and it will always be better for you. If you feel embarrassed, you're going to feel embarrassed. But if it's like truly embarrassing, I don't really know, because I don't know what I would do either. Non-supportive spouse, partner, or family. I added the partner family thing because I want to make this broad for everyone. I've had a lot of people in my life that don't have supportive partners, spouses, whatever you want to call them, family, anything with what they're doing. And it comes back to like, own who you are. What's your brand? What do you want? If they aren't supporting you, have that conversation with them. Use your voice, speak up. Your spouse is just like a boss. You can literally be like, hey, you're not supporting me in this situation, whatever it is. But it will never be fixed if you just cower down to them and let them make you feel like shit. If it's something you're passionate about, if it's something that you want to be doing, have the conversation and have that hard conversation and be like, hey, it actually really sucks that you're not supporting me professionally. It actually really sucks that you're not supporting me as a stay-at-home mom. It actually really sucks that you're not supporting me in this school career that I picked. Whatever it is, you have to say something. And you have to be like, it hurts my feelings when you do this. It hurts my feelings with this. Or if they say something, you're really excited to come home and talk about something and they cut you down, be like, hey, what the fuck? Have the conversation. If you don't have the conversation and you're not willing to stand up for yourself, you will not have HBIC energy and you'll be a doormat. And I don't know how to help you if you're not willing to stand up for yourself. The last one, interviews and job seeking, any support. It comes back to have a network, have LinkedIn, update your resume. I freaking love updating people's resumes. If you want me to look it over, I love interviewing. I read people really well. Like I said, I could interview so freaking quick and have really good I have a really good ratio of things turning out well in my decision making when it comes to this. LinkedIn is the best place to be looking for jobs right now. I posted it on my social media the other day, like pay for LinkedIn Premium if you can afford it. I think it's $40 a month. And it will tell you skills that you need to pair well with that job. So it'll say like you're in the top 10% based off of your skills that they're requiring. Or it'll say, oh, you only have 2 of the 10 skills. Guess what? You can go adapt those skills on your LinkedIn if you have them, real easy, and then apply for the job. So go update your skills, then apply for that job, and do that for anything that you have to do. Like that's going to get you through their applicant tracking system. Indeed is fine. I wouldn't say it's the most quality place to look for a job. But yeah, there's like certain states have like a place to, like we have KSL jobs or something like that. I don't even know. If you look for a job on there, I think that's weird as hell. But other people use like Monster or Glassdoor. It really depends on where you're at, but LinkedIn's the future right now, and I can't say anything more than get a LinkedIn, make sure it's professional, and adapt every time you're applying to a job that you want to have. Make sure your resume aligns with it, make sure that your skills align with it, pay for premium if you can, get connections on LinkedIn as much as possible, connect with whoever, like things, be active on there. People will see you on there. Recruiters will start working, like reaching out to you, like be active and be on LinkedIn. Interviews though, the first thing I would say if you are going to an interview is always know what the job posting is. Make sure you know what the pay range is. Make sure you research the company. Make sure you know what they're asking for. The first thing I ask people is, what questions do you have for me? That's it. That's how I start. Like I do like the little pleasantries, and then it's like, all right, so what questions do you have for me about the position? If they say that they don't have any questions, I basically end the interview. If you can't ask me a question about the job that you came to apply for, you are not worth it to me. You're not worth my time. You're not worth the company's time, and you don't actually fucking want the job. So be asking questions, know the position, ask about anything, ask people how long they've been working there, what they like about the company, be active in the conversation. Don't fucking sit there and tell us your age. That is so stupid. Don't be like, when we say, so tell us about yourself, I'm gonna say, first of all, don't ever say, well, I'm 29 and this. Don't be like, well, I'm Shelby and I'm 32 and I have a podcast and I'm a mom and I have 2 kids. No, absolutely not. That's not how it should go. And you should also don't tell me your age. Don't do it. I don't know. Don't do it. That's basically it for our questions, I would say for now. I have more stuff that I'm going to put together content wise for you guys. I basically have like a bunch of like not a to-do list, a list. I have a list, a bullet point list of things to help you channel your like boss bitch energy, your HBIC energy, whatever it is. I could talk about this literally all day long. So I'm for sure going to wrap it up because this is so long. Hopefully this gives you inspiration to ask further questions or have me break it down. I would be down to do like a series. I have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to business. I have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to managing mom life, work life, being an HBIC, and dealing with a spouse and a family and all of those things. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. I can't wait to go to Brazil and live this weird ass life that I'm living in this foreign country that seems super terrifying. I can't wait to tell you guys about it. I can't wait to record again with Taylor. And I still don't really know how to end the podcast, but what I will say is make sure you're following us on social media. Make sure you share us with a friend. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on YouTube and also wherever you listen to your podcasts. And Yeah, that's all I really got. So thanks for listening to this episode. I hope it helped you, and I hope that I didn't ramble and go so crazy, because I definitely feel like I did, but I don't know, it's a big topic. So I will catch you guys when I return from Brazil. Hopefully I don't get kidnapped, mugged, or all of the scary things that everyone talks about, and I'll get to record with you and talk to you again soon. Bye.